I was bored while listening to a lecture, so I sent a message to my online lover, "Sister, lend me 50 to buy some strawberries. I'll return it to you next time." The next second, the same message appeared on the big screen, and the professor on the stage, who has always been known as the flower of Gaoling, remained calm and replied calmly, "Be good, I'm working. Let's talk to you in the evening." I was dumbfounded. In order to collect credits, my roommate dragged me to attend lectures everywhere. Within 3 hours, 5 professors took turns to give speeches on the stage, and I sat quietly below. My butt was numb. When the sixth professor came on stage, the audience suddenly burst into exclamations, and my roommate was also excited. "Berchen, look at Professor Liu. Professor Liu is here." I looked up and saw that it was the youngest legendary professor in the college, Liu Yangmi. Not long after entering the school, he was revered as the flower of Gaoling by many students for his beautiful face and cold and abstinent temperament. At this moment, he was just debugging the slides on the stage, but he was still unbelievably outstanding. As I was staring at his slender and clean hands and drooling, I suddenly noticed that he had a red and green bracelet tied around his wrist, which was exactly the same as the lucky charm I recommended to my online lover some time ago. When I thought of my online lover, the photo of his figure that he sent me last night suddenly appeared in my mind. His willow-like waist and charming figure made me have many lustful thoughts. I couldn't help but open the chat box, and the last message he sent to him was still when he said he was going to work. He should be at work now, but I suddenly became mad and wanted to play a trick on him, so I quickly edited the message, "Sister, lend me 50 to buy strawberries, and I will return it to you next time." The next second after the message was successfully sent, the auditorium suddenly became noisy, and the momentum was even greater than when Liu Yiming went on stage just now. My roommate pinched me desperately. "Oh my God, Xiao Qian, look, is that Professor Liu's boyfriend?" I looked up in confusion, but saw the same message I just sent appeared on the big screen. Yu Yiming, who was searching for the original PPT file in the green bubble, lowered his eyes calmly closed the chat box, took out his phone and tapped a few times. Then I received a reply from my online love object. "Good boy, I'm working. Let's talk tonight." I was dumbfounded. The noise in the auditorium continued. "Did you see it just now? Teacher used note for her boyfriend is good boy. It feels so sweet. Not only that, her boyfriend is her only top post. Please don't say it. Nothing breaks my heart more than teacher you having a boyfriend. Woo woo. Facing such a face every day. What a good life her boyfriend has." My roommate turned his head after realizing it. "By the way, Xiaoqin, I just saw the teacher Yu's boyfriend's avatar is the same as yours. What a coincidence." I laughed dryly. "Really? Haha, I didn't notice." My roommate was very disappointed with my indifference and turned to discuss with others. As I looked at Liu Yiming on the podium, my heartbeat quickened little by little. The same lucky rope, the same profile picture, the same message. Everything clearly said that Liu Yiming was my online love object. But the contrast was too great. I couldn't help but recall those revealing photos of his body, and then looked at the man in front of me who was dressed elegantly and spoke elegantly, and suddenly my face turned beaming like that in private. In the second half of the lecture, I was already in a trance, just watching Liu Yiming's mouth opening and closing, with those pictures all over my mind. After the lecture, Liu Yiming left in a hurry. When I left, I heard a few boys in the front row talking. "Did you hear it just now? Teacher Liu seems to be in a hurry to go back to find her boyfriend." My heart seemed to skip a beat. On the way back to the dormitory, I was bombarded with messages from Liu Yiming. "What's wrong, dear? Why didn't you reply to me? I'm done with work. Do you want to continue the topic just now? What are you doing, baby? Why did you disappear after saying, 'I'm going to work'? I was in a hurry just now and forgot to give you 50 to buy strawberries. I transferred 50,000. Why don't you pay attention to me?" I looked at the message after message, feeling a little overwhelmed. It was difficult to put Liu Yiming's face into these words. At the same time, I felt a little ashamed and didn't know how to reply. Just as I was hesitating, I received a message from the senior sister next door. "Jiang Chen, Teacher Zhu said that his computer broke down again and asked you to go and have a look." Teacher Sue is my mentor. Since I helped him fix the computer jam last time, he always likes to ask me to help him fix the computer. I didn't dare to neglect it, so I went there without stopping. When I arrived at the office, I found that Liu Yiming was also here. He was sitting on a desk opposite, quietly lowering his head and holding his mobile phone. He didn't look very happy. I didn't dare to look at him anymore and tried to help Teacher Sue fix the computer without looking away. After the problem was fixed, Teacher Zhu smiled and said, I knew Zhao Zhang was the best at this. By the way, Teacher Liu just said that his green bubble couldn't receive messages. You can go and help Teacher Liu. He pointed at Liu Yiming. I was stunned for a moment and almost instantly realized while Liu Yiming's green bubble couldn't receive messages. Can this be fixed? But in Teacher Zhu's smiling eyes, I could only bite the bullet and walk over, deliberately lowering my voice. Teacher Liu, Teacher Zhu said that your green bubble seems to be broken. Liu Yiming was obviously distracted. He was scared by me, and then he subconsciously turned sideways to distance himself from me. No, he has always been polite and distant in private, but this time it was just what I wanted. Just as I was about to turn around and Liu Yiming's eyes suddenly fixed on my hand, I was holding a mobile phone in my hand. The screen was on, revealing a screensaver made of a puppy photo. Suddenly, I remembered that I had sent many photos of my puppy to my online lover and selected my favorite one as a screensaver. Sensing Liu Yiming's increasingly scorching gaze, I quickly put my phone in my pocket. Teach Liu, I'll leave first if there's nothing else. Liu Yiming suddenly said, Wait a minute. He stretched out his hand to block my way. Can I see your phone screensaver? My heart instantly rose to my throat. Could he have recognized me? I subconsciously covered the pocket with my phone and stuttered. It may not be convenient. Liu Yiming frowned slightly. What's wrong? I said without thinking, because my screensaver is very private. Liu Yiming thought for a moment, and an apologetic expression appeared on his face. Sorry, I don't mean to offend. I just saw the puppy on the screensaver, and it looks very much like one that saved me before, so I really want to confirm it. If it's inconvenient, you can cover the private parts. I was stunned by what he said. When did my dog save him? But under Liu Yiming's earnest eyes, hoping to find the benefactor, I took out my phone and showed it to him. He leaned in to take a closer look, and his eyes had changed. When he looked at me again, his eyes were inquiring and expectant. Is this your puppy? I immediately pulled my phone back. I was careless. What life-saving dog? He was clearly testing me. Of course not. I shook my head frantically, my brain working fast. This is my brother's dog. Liu Yiming tilted his head a little puzzled. Your brother. I nodded like pounding garlic, took out my phone calmly, logged into the small account, and found the chat records in which I used the main account to send various spam messages to the small account. Yes, look, this is the picture my brother sent me at that time. I pointed to the photo of the puppy that I sent to the small account for comparison when I was repeatedly editing the picture, and I was very glad that I had the habit of using the small account as a trash can. Yu Yiming came over to take a look, and his eyes lit up instantly. He pointed at my big Abeva saw. Is this your brother? I suddenly had a bad feeling and quickly distanced myself from him, but we are not that familiar with each other. Liu Yiming was so excited that he wanted to shake my hand. Classmate, please leave me your contact information. I may need your help later. In fact, I really didn't want to leave Liu Yiming's contact information, but when Liu Yiming said that, he glanced at teachers not far away, teachers who had my big account in his hand. If Liu Yiming asked others for my contact information, I would be exposed. So I immediately added him as a friend with my small account and smiled at him enthusiastically. Of course, no problem, teacher Liu. The moment I turned around, my face fell. What happened? Although Liu Yiming, as my online love partner, was almost obedient to me, that was because he liked me online. If he knew that I was his student in real life, and he had taken the initiative to send me those explicit photos and said those cheesy love words with his personality, he would definitely be ashamed and angry, right? Not only will I be dumped, but he might also make things difficult for me at school. The best way, perhaps, is for me to break up with him quietly first, although I am really reluctant to do so. Walking on the road, I was bombarded with messages from Liu Yiming again. My dear, I just found out that one of my students is your brother. Isn't it a coincidence? He also uses the photo of your copy as his screensaver, so he must have a very good relationship with you, right? Don't get me wrong, my dear. I just saw it by chance. I didn't mean to investigate. Why are you still ignoring me? Transfer 20,000 yuan. Looking at his message after message, I felt mixed emotions and simply turned on the do not disturb mode. After returning to the dormitory, I packed up and logged into my secondary account, only to find that Liu Yiming had also sent a message to my secondary account. Classmate Zhang Chen, can you contact your brother now? I deliberately waited a while before replying to him. No, teacher Liu. I thought he would calm down, but the next second my pupils trembled. Liu Yiming resolutely sent two messages to my primary account. Dear, is something wrong with you? Wait for me. I'm going to call the police now. I was shocked. What the hell, call the police? Then I'm really screwed. What kind of brain circuit is Liu Yiming? I quickly typed, Sister, I'm here. I accidentally fell asleep. This baby hasn't eaten yet, right? Hurry up and collect the transfer and go to eat. When you didn't reply to me today, I felt so panicked. Darling, you won't abandon me, right? Seeing this sentence, an unspeakable emotion suddenly surged in my heart, as if I was stabbed by something. Liu Yiming has always been considerate and thoughtful to me, and he is willing to spend money on me and show me his body photos. I am just thinking about breaking up with him. If I continue like this, how long can I keep it a secret? The more I think about it, the sadder I feel. My nose feels sore and too. Hot tears roll down. My roommate happened to pass by behind me and was startled. Xiaohan, what's wrong with you? When I turned around to look at him, I felt that my vision was a little blurry. My roommate patted my shoulder righteously. Who bullied you? He looked like he was looking for a fight, and I couldn't help sobbing and saying, Brother Zhu, if you find out that your online love partner is someone who is impossible for you in real life, what will you do? He was relieved immediately. Is that all? At most, just break up. She's just a woman. You're still worried about not finding a partner with your looks. He seemed to have thought of something and changed the subject. But has he ever spent money on you? I heard that some people now have to find a partner to get the money back after breaking up, which is scary. I was stunned for a moment. Liu Yiming really spent. He shouldn't be that kind of person, right? My roommate noticed my daze and quickly patted my shoulder. Hey, don't be afraid of spending money. Just don't make things awkward with him when you break up. Because I was afraid that Liu Yiming would call the police. I didn't dare to cut off contact with him directly. Thinking of my roommate's words, I didn't dare to be too awkward with him. After tossing and turning, I replied to him with a grin. What are you thinking about? He replied immediately. I knew you were the best. Do you want to see photos today? I think you liked the photos I sent you last night. My face instantly became hot. Was I so obvious? But now I know that it was Liu Yiming's body that I saw last night. It feels more exciting, but I was also a little hesitant. It's not good. He replied as a matter of course. What's wrong with this? I'd like to show you. I was still a little hesitant, not knowing whether I should look at it now. As a result, 10 minutes later, Liu Yiming sent me many photos of his body from different angles. In one of them, his pants were pulled very low, and the outline of the mermaid line on both sides of his slender waist extended all the way down, which made my eyes go straight. He quickly asked, Is this okay? It's absolutely okay. But when I thought of Liu Yiming's shirt buttons that were always tightly fastened when he gave his speech, I felt that I was committing a crime. That was Liu Yiming. I reluctantly replied, Stop taking photos, sister. I don't like these. He sent me a puzzled expression, but you were obviously very happy last night. He also took a screenshot and sent me the record of me sending him a lot of nosebleed emoji IS last night and kept shouting, Sister, pull your pants down a little bit. It was simply immoral and against the moral code. I closed my eyes and said, That's all in the past. I have changed, sister. After Liu Yiming sent me a crying emoji, he didn't send me a message for a long time. I logged into the secondary account again and saw that Liu Yiming was indeed here. Classmate Zhang Cheng, could you please ask for me what your brother thinks of his girlfriend? Is your brother in a bad mood today? In order to carry out the disguise to the end, I pretended to be stupid girlfriend. Does he have a girlfriend? Does he having said firmly, of course. Just ask and you will know. I suddenly had an idea and sent a message to the main account with the secondary account, acting out a scene. Brother, do you have a girlfriend? Really? Don't lie to me? Really not. Then I sent the screenshot to Liu Yiming, emphasizing he said he doesn't have a girlfriend. Liu Yiming was furious. Impossible. Is this really your brother? He sent me my information homepage, and then he fell into a long silence, and I didn't know what he was thinking. A long time later, I received a message from him on the main account. My dear, do you not like me anymore? I instantly felt a dull pain in my heart, but it quickly disappeared. I tried to type as if nothing had happened. It's been more than a year. Aren't you tired of me? He replied quickly. No, not at all. What am I not doing well enough? I can change. Darling, you said you wouldn't leave me. I began to feel uncomfortable again. If I had to spend more time with him like this, it would be too much torture for both me and him. Feeling the bitterness in my heart, I simply chose to take that step directly. Even if he really asked me for money, I would just save up and pay him back. Cut it off when it's time to cut it off. Don't drag it on. I'm sorry, let's break up. I made up my mind and blocked Liu Yiming. I felt empty for a moment, but there was no turning back after the arrow was shot. This way, Liu Yiming would never know that he had dated his student. I tried to live as usual, but whenever I was cut in line in the cafeteria or assigned complicated work, I subconsciously wanted to complain to Liu Yiming, but I found that I had already blocked him. Liu Yiming once tried to help with the connection through my secondary account, but after I repeatedly said that he was rejected, he never contacted my secondary account again. Maybe he has accepted it, except for seeing him on the famous teacher style, posted on the wall of the teaching building. I have completely lost contact with him. One day, Teacher Zhu asked me to fix the computer again. When I was debugging, I accidentally heard him making a phone call. Teacher Zhu, who has always been steady, changed his face. What? Which hospital? I'll go there now. I asked casually. What's wrong, Teacher Zhu? Is anyone sick? Teacher Zhu packed his things in a hurry. Teacher Liu Yiming, you should know him too. Hey, I don't know what happened to him these 2 days. I was stunned there for a moment. Liu Yiming went to the hospital. I grabbed Teacher Zhu's sleeve uncontrollably. What's wrong with Teacher Liu? Teacher Zhu was startled by my sudden action, but still explained he started to lose his appetite a few days ago and just fainted at home. I was hit hard he couldn't eat. Could it be because of me? When I wanted to ask some more details, Teacher Zhu had already left in a hurry with a small backpack on his back. I was sitting on pins and needles in Teacher Zhu's office. After waiting for almost 2 hours, I couldn't help but call Teacher Zhu. He answered after a long time, and there was a strong sense of fatigue in his tone. I held the phone. Teacher Zhu, I want to ask how Teacher Liu is doing. Realizing that my concern was inappropriate, I quickly added, I have a relative who works in the hospital. Maybe I can help. Teacher Zhu sighed and was quite disappointed. Thank you, Xiaozhang, but it's okay. This little girl has hypoplasmia because of a broken heart, and she already has stomach problems, so she has to stay in the hospital for a few days. The guess in my heart was confirmed at this moment. I couldn't say what I felt. I just knew to ask anxiously, then can I go see Teacher Liu? I took care of my mother in the hospital before. I have a lot of experience. Teacher Zhu thought for a while. It's good that you are willing to help. It just so happens that I have a lecture in the afternoon. Xiaozhang, I'm relieved about you. She is my daughter, only 4 or 5 years older than you. Just don't treat her as a teacher. I was stunned again. Liu Yiming was actually Teacher Zhu's daughter. No wonder Teacher Zhu was so anxious just now. For the first time, I rejected my roommate's invitation to attend the lecture. Following the address given by Teacher Zhu, I quickly rushed to the hospital. Teacher Zhu left after handing over to me And when I walked into the ward, I saw Liu Yiming leaning against the head of the bed with an infusion tube in his hand. He looked pale and fragile, and there was some redness at the corners of his eyes. He turned his head to look at me and then quickly turned back. I walked over silently, picked up an orange on the bedside table and peeled it for him. After a long time of talking, I solemnly said, "Teacher Liu, my brother told me that he broke up only because they were not suitable, not because you were not good enough. And he really doesn't want to see you like this." I handed him the peeled orange. He said he hopes you can treat yourself well. Liu Yiming looked down at the orange in my hand, as if he suddenly thought of something. He thought for a moment, took a plum from the fruit basket and handed it to me. "You have some too." I shook my head and refused. "Thank you, but I don't like plums." He was stunned for a second, then looked up at me intently. "You are quite similar to your brother. Neither of you likes plums, and you always peel off the oranges when you eat them." These are all personal habits that I mentioned casually to my online lover, and he actually remembered them all. My hands trembled. "Really? Is that so?" Liu Yiming stared into my eyes and suddenly chuckled. From this sound, the voice is also similar. I quickly lowered my voice again. "No." Liu Yiming sat up straight and suddenly reached out to hold my wrist. I was so scared that I wanted to hide, but he held it tighter. His fingertips gently rubbed the inside of my wrist, and his voice was low and hoarse. "Don't lower your voice, I can tell it's you." My whole body was stiff and my mind was blank. But he loosened his hand and rubbed my reed or lobby with his fingertips. "When I saw your habit of peeling oranges in the hospital, I was thinking, how come my good boy is so cute even in the details?" I looked up suddenly and saw the smile in his eyes. It turned out that he recognized me from that day on. Those temptations of asking for help to find his brother, the deliberate weakness when I was in the hospital, and even the sudden injury of his right hand and asked me to feed him, were all set by him. "So you deliberately asked Teacher Zhu to ask me to take care of you, and you pretended to be sick and stayed in the hospital for a week?" I gritted my teeth. He tilted his head, and his fingertips wrapped around a strand of my hair and circled it. "How else can I make you feel distressed? It was you who proposed the breakup, but every time I sent a message, your Smurf would read it in seconds." He suddenly moved closer, and his nose almost touched mine. "Zhang Chen, you can't bear to part with me, right?" I turned my face away and said nothing, but the tips of my ears were red as blood. He sighed, pinched my chin with his fingertips and turned it back gently, stroking my lips with his thumb. "That day in the auditorium, when you sent a message, I recognized your WeChat ID. In fact, I have wanted to expose it for a long time, but I was afraid of scaring you. It was not until you blocked me that I realized how greedy I was. I wanted to be your sister on the screen, and I also wanted to be your Liu Yiming in reality." My throat tightened, thinking of those private photos he sent me late at night, and the light in his eyes when he read my name on the podium. It turns out that he has seen through me a long time ago, but he is willing to accompany me in this teacher-student disguised drama. Then, "Don't you feel ashamed?" I asked softly. "After all, you are such a high-class flower in school, but in private." "But what?" He raised his eyebrows and suddenly took out a photo from his phone. It was our chat record last night. He sent a photo of his collarbone with a red mark and captioned, "The bite mark hasn't disappeared yet." My face instantly turned red and I tried to grab the phone, but he dodged me with a smile. "The flower of Gowling is for others to see, and I am only willing to be a flesh and blood person in front of you. Besides," he suddenly leaned over and his warm breath in my ear, "you obviously like the way I am in private, don't you?" I clutched the hem of his white coat and suddenly remembered what my roommate said. "The way each of you looks so you can kill people." It turned out that from the beginning to the end, his preference was blatant, but I never dared to admit it. So he hooked his fingertips on my collar and gently pulled it towards him. "Are you willing to be my boyfriend again now? No need to hide anymore. No need to pretend to be a brother anymore. I want to hold your hand to go to the cafeteria to eat. I want to look at you openly on the podium. I want everyone to know that Zhang Chen is the person I, Liu Yiming, hold in my heart." I looked up into his eyes, where there was a smile more gentle than the moonlight. The wind outside the window lifted a corner of his white coat, revealing the red and green bracelet on his wrist. I made it myself, and he has been wearing it for a whole year. Okay, I heard myself say. His eyes lit up instantly like a child who got candy, and he lowered his head in place to kiss on my lips. The sound of a nurse pushing a cart came from outside the ward, but he ignored it, just held my hand against his chest, letting me feel his pounding heartbeat. In the days that followed, Liu Yiming did as he said and put his preference on the surface. He would suddenly ask me to answer questions in class, and when I stood up, his eyes were glued to my collar. There was a red mark from his bite this morning. When I went to the office to hand in my homework, he would lock the door and press me on the sofa to kiss me until I pushed him panting. Then he would let go with a smile, and his fingertips would rub across my swollen lips. You did a good job on your homework. This is a reward for you. He would also send me messages late at night asking me, "Are you asleep?" After I replied, he would immediately send me a photo of himself just after taking a shower with water drops sliding down his Adam's apple into the bath towel and the caption, "I want my good friend to help me wipe my hair." The most outrageous thing was that after the midterm exam, he insisted that I accompany him to pick out a tie. I was standing in the men's clothing area of the mall watching him tying his tie in front of the mirror, and suddenly I put my arms around his waist from behind. He paused, and his red ears were reflected in the mirror. Zhang Chenheng. He had called my name in a hoarse voice. I buried my face in his back and smiled dully. "Teacher Liu, this tie is crooked." He turned around and held my wrist and pressed it against the mirror in the fitting room. The tie hung loosely around his neck, but his eyes were frighteningly dark. "Help me get it straight now, okay?" At the end of your college dinner, I drank a little and leaned on his shoulder in a daze. Someone came over to toast. He stood in front of me and gently patted the back of my hand with his fingertips. "He can't hold his liquor. I'll drink it for him." When the show was over, he carried me on his back and walked in the snow, and I lay in his ear and hummed a song. He suddenly stopped and turned to look at me. "Are you cold?" I shook my head, but he stuffed it into my scarf. The white mist he exhaled mixed with the smell of alcohol fell on my face. "Jungchana, let's get married next year." I suddenly sobered up, but saw that his eyes were sparkling like falling stars. "I want to see you every morning when I open my eyes. I want to introduce you as this is my husband on the podium, and I want you to always be the only one at the top of my address book." I hooked my arms around his neck and kissed him gently in the snowy night. Fireworks exploded in the distance, illuminating the brilliance in his eyes. It turns out that love has never been a shackle, but a mutual fit between Desolshi as my high mountain flower and also my worldly fireworks. "Okay, Professor Liu." I smiled and rubbed his nose. "But before getting married." "Huh?" I leaned close to his ear and said in a voice that only we can hear, "Let's pay off the strawberry debt tonight, sister." His ears turned red instantly, but he hugged me tighter with his backhand, his Adam's apple rolling in the night. "Okay, be good and give it back whatever you want. I will cooperate." The snow falls silently, but love is traceable. From online love to reality, from the screen to our side, we have overcome all disguises and concerns, and finally became the most real light in each other's world.